Hey everybody, welcome back to It's Only Food. Today we are making Portobello sandwiches. Don't go away. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to It's Only Food. Like I said in the primo opener there, we are going to be making Portobello sandwiches. I've got the awesome cookbook. This is the Culinary Institute of America's cookbook. I think since the invention of the internet, or what we used to call the World Wide Web, a lot of people have gotten away from looking at cookbooks. I know I am guilty of that. So the other day I was sitting in my office and I'm looking at the cookbooks, grabbed this one, was paging through it, saw a nice picture of something, well, many pictures of things that I wanted to do. So we're going to be doing a lot of shows out of this cookbook for the next couple of episodes. So I thank you for joining us today. Let's get into the kitchen and see what we're going to be making with the ingredients that we provide. We have, of course, hey, I'll read it right out of the cookbook. How's that? We've got we have portobello mushrooms, 1/4 cup of Madeira, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 garlic cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper to taste, 3 cups of sliced onions, and it says 3 hard rolls, but I'm going to be using onion rolls because I think they will just be better. Not that I'm going to judge anything that the AFC or the CIA does. That's the Culinary Institute of America, not the CIA. We already know they're listening. So when we get back, we're going to head in the kitchen and we're going to start making this wonderful sandwich. Don't go away. Alright, we're going to make the marinade first because then we can start our prep and we'll already have the marinade made and we can add it. I'm going to double the recipe that's in the book because I like to have a little marinade laying around. And just for the info, and during our break, one of my producers informed me that I was mispronouncing Portobello mushroom, which I looked up and she was right. I am pronouncing it Portobella. The book says Portobello, so we will now call it a Portobello mushroom. That's why we have producers, folks. Alright, the wine is a screw top, so you know it's got some class. I'm using a tawny port on this. It says to use Madeira, but I'm using a tawny port because we're going to top it off with some Swiss cheese, which is a nice soft cheese, and a tawny port goes really well with some soft cheeses. So we're going to use that instead of the Madeira that it called for. Alright, the recipe calls for 1/4 cup of Madeira or tawny port, 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup, and it says for 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm just gonna, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Little salt and pepper in there. I'm gonna just crush the garlic in there. Remember, this is a marinade, so it doesn't, you don't have to worry about all the shells and everything in there because we're just gonna, so got the garlic in there, and then I'm going to throw the oregano, which calls for 3 teaspoons, which is a tablespoon. So I'm gonna double that. We got 2 tablespoons there. Then we're just gonna whip this up with a whip and let that off, set it off to the side, and we're just going to layer our mushrooms with this. These are cooked in the oven, by the way. We're not going to saute anything except the onions in this show. So marinade's made. Boy, that's some port wine, all right, boy. I'm going to set this off to the side, and then we will get on with our mushrooms. All right, with a portobello mushroom, you just basically want to, I like to trim off some of the husk, as you call it, on a portobello mushroom. I just like to peel all this off because it's a little rough and tough when you're trying to eat it. And of course these gills have to come off too. There's a number of ways that you can remove these gills. You can use a paring knife and just cut away like this, or you can use a peeler and do it that way too. So I am going to actually use a paring knife just to get them all the way across. Alright, so basically you want to just take your knife and just run it all the way around these gills to remove the gills. You can scrape them off too. We're going to marinate them, then we're going to cook them. Then we're just going to let them cool off, then we're going to slice them thin before we put them onto the sandwich. So you don't have to worry too much about it being nice and round and pretty, as you can obviously see with this. But you want to remove all this stuff because it's rough and you don't want to get it into your teeth and everything else. So. All right, well there's the Portobello skin and all the gills right there. I got my portobellos are all done. I'm only doing 3. The recipe calls for 8 if you do go to this recipe in the book, because I'm sure it's online now too. But I'm using 3 because I think the marinade isn't enough actually in the original recipe to cover the 8 portobellos that they asked for. So that's what it's going to look like. It's still kind of dark, but the gills are gone. So we're going to clean this mess up. We're going to come back and start putting them in the marinade. All right, well the recipe calls for us to brush these lightly with the marinade, but I am going to do it this way. I'm going to take the spoon and put some of the marinade on top. I'm not going to worry about brushing it because I like to have it liberally applied. Some of that garlic. And then I'm going to put it in the oven and bake it for about 4 or 5 minutes. Then I'm going to turn them over, put more marinade on there, and go another 4 or 5 minutes. And then we're going to pull them out, let them cool. But meanwhile, pull those out. And just flip them over. This will probably be better too because like little cups. Marinade will just stay right in there. These smell fantastic, by the way. Like oregano and wine. Alright. And for another 5 minutes. We're going to turn the heat on. Throw olive oil in there. Meanwhile, we've got our buns. I'm just going to cut these in half. Those are ready to go. A little bit of salt and pepper. Let those translucent, nice and caramelized, make a lovely topping for the top of this sandwich. There's the finished product, ready to go. We're going to let these cool, then we're going to slice them nice, put them on the top of the bottom of the bun, cover it with cheese, put it back into the oven a little bit, let it melt, then we're going to throw the sauteed onions on it and cover it, and that's when we start taking pictures. Alright, so our mushroom caps have cooled enough for me to cook them. I'm just going to slice them into nice julienne strips per se. This has the consistency actually of a tenderloin, and the mouth bite and the mouthfeel too is just like a tenderloin. That's why everybody loves Portobellos. So it's got that seasoning in there, as you can see. The marinade smells good. It's cooked, it's soft, it's ready to go on the sandwich. That's our next step. All right, I'm going to take half of each, put it right on there, and half of the other part of it. There we go. With the Portobello, I'm going to cover it with cheese. And we're just going to take these, put them on a sheet tray, and we're going to put them in the oven. As we can see, the onions are right where we want them to be, nice and caramelized. So I'm going to turn the heat off on this. All right, we pulled these out of the oven. The cheese is nice and melted on both. I just placed them on the same cookie sheet where the residual marinade wasn't. I don't like to do a lot of dishes by hand. And there is the caramelized onions. Just set our bottom bun there. You can definitely smell that Swiss cheese. It just smells fantastic. Of course, hit it with some of these onions. Put the top on. That's basically all it is. You're going to actually have a sandwich like that, but for aesthetically pleasing circumstances of taking a picture of it, we're going to leave it just like that. And then we're going to take some pictures of this, put it on the timeline in different poses with some wonderful music underneath of that, and then we're going to eat it. And I'm going to let you know how it tastes. This is a very messy looking sandwich. Better double up on the napkins. But one thing I do know about messy sandwiches is they taste fantastic. So here's my first bite. Wish me luck. As Joe over at JKM TV says, wish me luck. I'm going in. The only thing that I can think of is a mushroom burger, but believe it or not, this is better than a mushroom burger because it's all mushrooms. There's not that patty in there to get in the way. That Swiss cheese complements it wonderfully. You can taste the marinade in there with the oregano and the onion bun. Sorry guys over there at the CIA, but I think the onion bun was a better choice than the hard rolls because it all kind of just smooshes all together and gives it really good mouth feel. I'm gonna take another bite and then we'll close out. Excuse me. Oh, you have got to try this. This is really good. You will find the recipe right here in the Culinary Institute of America cookbook. I'm sure they've got an recipe on this online. If not, and you happen to have it, the recipe is on page 123 and 124. They have a picture of it as well in there. You can compare that picture to the picture that I have. I'm going to try to throw the picture in the timeline too so you can see what it looks like in the cookbook. Let me know, leave a note and comment below. Let me know who made the better sandwich. Alright, I really want another bite of this, but I gotta say goodbye to all you guys. Okay, well here we go. I appreciate you watching today. We made a Portobello sandwich and it was very good. I'm going to be finishing this up here in just a second, and I got another one over there too that we left on the tray. Make sure you subscribe to this show and this channel if you haven't already. Leave us a note below and let us know how you like it. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, get it out there on the Twitterverse, and then share this video and this channel with everyone you know. I appreciate you watching. Kids at home, stay out of trouble. We'll see you next time right here on It's Only Food. Bye-bye.